Thanks everybody for tuning in as we continue with our Account Showcase series, providing insight into your peers and colleagues and how they got in the industry and kind of where they see it going. So today we have with us Zachary Meyers. Very excited for him to take some time and talk about his journey in accounting. Zach, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. How's everything going with you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing now, and so we can learn more.
Sure. My name is Zachary Meyers, and I am the owner and operator of Zachary Meyers LLC, which is my own accounting firm. I do about the coolest thing you can do in accounting, in my biased opinion, which is forensic work. I testify in court as an expert witness. I'm qualified as an expert in forensic accounting, business valuation, pension valuation, and taxation. It's a very cool field, and I work with primarily attorneys and judges and courts that retain me or appoint me to calculate damages or business value or look at fraud or assess divorces. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I've worked with forensic accountants before, and they it's an industry where at the drop of a dime, right, you could get a call and you need to get right to work. And so keeping yourself on your toes per se, but providing some valuable insight. Do you also do go to court and do testify as an expert?
I do. I testify both in court and in depositions, which is sort of when the attorneys will, request that you sit and they ask you questions for a few hours before you go to court to try to understand or have you explain your expert opinion. So that's one of the very cool things that I get to do. I also get to help write questions for other experts for both court and depositions, which is a very neat side sort of thing that I do for my clients. So it's very cool.
So now, how did you get started in all this? Is this something that you saw from family, friends, or was it because of someone who, like a mentor, or inspired you? Tell us how you got into this field.
Well, first of all, I didn't know what an accountant was when I was 18. I didn't have anybody around me that was an accountant or in my neighborhood. I didn't have a whole lot growing up, so I just didn't see it. But luckily, I ran into some people in college and became an accounting major, just because I've always been pretty decent at math. But it wasn't that I was just a perfect genius in math that I picked accounting. But I ultimately picked accounting because I liked it. I figured it was versatile at the time. And then I began working after college as an auditor for a BDO Seidman firm at the time. And I did that for about 5 years, give or take. I had been a bookkeeper before that, but whenever I did the auditing, the firm that I was working with wanted to get into business valuation and forensic accounting. And so they were looking at firms or target firms to acquire. And one of the strategies was they were going to lease me as an employee to these forensic firms and basically sort of facilitate the acquisition of these other firms in order to take on their practices. But a couple years into it, the acquisition fell through, and I was like 200 cases knee deep in the middle of cases. And whenever the acquisition fell through, I was kind of stuck at that forensic firm at the time. And I just kind of stuck with it and eventually worked my way up from leased employee to managing partner, and then decided to open up my own firm in 2017. And now I run my own firm and love every aspect of it. It's just great.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's an awesome story. I've been doing several of these, and it seems like there's not a lot where it's kind of within the family. It's an experience or a relationship that's formed or something that occurs during school where they just have this moment where they're like, this is something that I want to do. So that's a really good story. And so how have you seen, and specifically within your industry, through the pandemic and even a few years prior, so over the last 3 to 5 years, how have you seen the accounting industry progress? Do you think it's progressing the right way? Do you think it's kind of in shock? Do you think they were able to adapt? Can you provide some insight into that?
Sure. There's a number of initiatives to improve or change accounting that have been going on for some time now. We have a diversity and inclusion initiative, which is striving to get the accounting and financial industry more diverse in terms of African Americans and for a long time even females. It just wasn't very diverse. Now we've seen some headway. We still only have about 1% of all CPAs are Black, but at the same time we have some additional things that we need to work on as an industry. Now, me personally, whenever I began Zachary Meyers PLLC back in 2017, this was prior to the pandemic, and I was seeing a lot of things change at that time. I was seeing, a lack of the importance of having like a brick and mortar per se, like an actual building, became less and less important. The sort of emphasis on the internet, social media, and things like that as a means to get customers, that became more and more prevalent, whereas in the past it was almost frowned upon. I remember back in 2015, 16, people would say, well, yeah, you don't want a social media presence whatsoever if you're an accountant, because you'll either get a conflict or you'll lose clients that way. I never have taken that approach, but I'm seeing more and more accounting firms being more active with their social media presence. I'm seeing less firms focusing on brick and mortar or requiring employees to come to a place of business and allowing more people to work from home, which is far more effective in my opinion. And you're also seeing, I've been social distancing before the pandemic even. I worked on my own back in 2017, but I'm seeing more and more people relying on technology like artificial intelligence and other things that you can use really by yourself to do the job that used to take 10 people to do. 1 or 2 accountants can now do it from their home very easily. Audits are one thing in particular, but we're seeing a lot of headway and a lot of changes, and it's moving very fast. It's still a very strong industry, but I would highly suggest that if you do go into accounting, you go into something that's more niche or specialized, because I think that evolution of accounting is it's changing to the point to where you're not going to be able to necessarily do taxes forever. There's TurboTax, there's all kinds of other things that products and technology that's available that the everyday consumer can buy. You have to really specialize, and I think that's why I went into forensic accounting, which is becoming more and more popular each and every day.
Yeah, spot on. I absolutely agree. There's a lot of generalists out there, and there's a need for more specialists. But approaching it in this specialist aspect will make a graduate or make somebody that's wanting to go within this industry more valuable. And you're absolutely right. And when you can provide a specific service to clients and you're an expert in it and you understand it in and out, it's not just number crunching. It's not just entering returns. There's a whole nother aspect to this. So I completely agree with that. And I wanted to ask get your thoughts on, I'm not sure if you've worked with offshore staff, but it's gotten a lot of attention recently. The concept's 30 years old, but it's gotten a lot of attention recently as we navigating through staffing shortages. So what are your thoughts in regards to that, and where do you see that tying into the industry in the future?
Well, I've seen a lot more offshore staffing availability and use here lately. Yep. I think that is going to be more prevalent in the near future. It has been around for a while, but a lot of the easier to automate sort of things about an accounting firm are being automated. And to be competitive nowadays, you really have to be the most cost effective that you can. It's always been that way in the accounting industry. I mean, if you think about it, I know whenever I was in a public accounting firm, the main formula was, you have the non-CPAs doing the brunt of the work, and then you have the CPAs looking over the non-CPA work, and then the final partner review comes in at the end, and it's sort of a pyramid. That's going to kind of get exacerbated a little bit with the way that, we have COVID, we have the reduction in workforce and things like that. There's just a lot of people that are retiring too. I noticed that of all of the people that are leaving the workforce, I think over half of them are 55 or older. So there's just a number of things that are happening right now that are going to really crank down on the supply of individuals that can do the work. And I think that the firms that are going to stay ahead are the firms that utilize that type of structure or service, along with technology in some way, shape, or form, to take whatever it is that they're doing now and do it in a more cost-effective and efficient, better way. That's what's going to win the day. I think ultimately, if you don't do those things, you're going to become obsolete.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. I agree, because if you can identify these tasks and activities that could be done by a remote employee, regardless where they are, at a cost-effective rate, and then make your firm more attractive by offering advisory or offering planning or just the different aspects within accounting, then it's more attractive to work for specific firms that are showcasing this to potential candidates. So yeah, I agree. And before we wrap up today, really appreciate this insight. Before we wrap up, any final thoughts that you'd like to share today?
Sure. If someone wanted to get into forensic accounting or business valuation, which is my specialty, I would just suggest you go ahead and get your accounting degree. Focus on probably getting your credentials, like a CPA. Those are things that are very valuable. Build your intellectual capital. Get some experience at a CPA firm, public accounting firm. And then after that, sky's the limit. You can go into a number of different areas of accounting, fields of accounting, and it can be very lucrative. And you can do this for a long time. I don't plan on retiring anytime soon. I can do this well into my older age. And it's almost always going to be in demand for the most part, especially if you specialize. Because I don't foresee artificial intelligence or Siri testifying in court for me. So if you want to specialize and go into forensic accounting, it's pretty much the coolest possible thing that I've ever done in accounting. And obviously that's a biased opinion, but I love everything about my job, and it's great.
Oh, it's good to see the passion there. It really is. And outside of work, what does Zachary do for fun?
I am a big dork. I have 5 kids, so I spend time with my family, but I like to learn. I'm very dorky. I literally go, I mean, some of it kind of happens by nature of what I do, because in forensic accounting, if you're in court all the time, you have to always be well read. You have to read case law. You have to read what's happening. I'm very active on standard setting boards and things like that, so that I can stay abreast of whatever's going on in my industry. So I'm a very boring person. But at the same time, I have, my family is the most important thing to me, which is why I actually operate out of my house. Yep. And my firm is literally, I can take a break at any time I want to and feed my son a bottle or walk the dog or have dinner with my wife, and it's fantastic. But that's pretty much all I do for fun, is just try to spend every minute I can with the family.
Yeah, and that's the remote virtual environment in which we're in, gives you that opportunity on an every single day basis. I mean, that's the best part. So, well, hey, really appreciate taking out some time this morning and sharing your insight to our audience out there. We'll be back soon with more accountants and your fellow colleagues and peers. And for now, take care. Thanks for your time.
Welcome. Thank you.
And we're done. Perfect. That was really good. Appreciate it. So My team will take this video and they're going to edit it down, and then we'll blast it out on social media, and I'll share the link with you as well. Feel free to put it on your website, and that's it. All right.
Cool. Anytime you need anything, man, just give me a call. I get asked questions for a living, so by all means, you can just pop up and call me and turn on the record button, and we can go.
Yeah, no, it's I really do appreciate it, because this is important to create awareness and just the whole idea and the goal of what we want to do. So thanks for being a part of that. Have a good rest of your weekend. All right.
You too, buddy. Take care.
All right. Bye.